Welcome to the Rich Live Show. This is a beautiful Tuesday evening. Thank everybody for logging on. Hopefully you guys are excited about the information that I'm going to share. If this is your first time, find your way in the chat room. Say what's up. We're very personable here. I want to say what's up to Ronnie. Thanks for holding it down in the chat room. Do me a favor, drop some ones in the chat room if you can, if you hear me loud and clear. Thanks, Ronnie, for being the moderator. Also, Sheila G, good to see you. Good to see you. So good to have you back with the family. I know you've been busy. Shout out to the one and only Silver Fox, my mom, Evelyn. Happy Tuesday. You ready for some great nuggets? I am too. Music. Shout out to you and your whole San Antonio crew and everybody else that's getting logged in. Also, Veronica and Miss Freeman. Hey, Miss Freeman, I hear you have a birthday. And happy birthday to Lena. Yesterday, Lena was Lena's birthday. So if this is a recording, that means July 17th was Lena's birthday. And Miss Freeman has a birthday as well. So we're going to blow it up and party with you, Miss Freeman. Now you have a place to come party. Right. No excuses. We're in the legendary soul food restaurant. And you can physically come here, eat, and have a good time and celebrate your birthday. So put a one in the chat room if you can hear me, and then we can go ahead and start this conversation. If you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that I posted, or if you have subscribed, you received an email that says, tired of being tired. So I want to dive in that conversation today and speak about those of us that are fatigued or tired and just tired of being tired. And I want to motivate each and every one of you to kind of plow through the fatigue of life. The fatigue of life. Yes, we're gonna speak about that. And also, I want to speak about time, right? The way that we use our time and the things that we're waiting on to transpire. You have to make them happen and not wait for them to happen. Okay, so put a one in the chat room. As those ones come in, I'll dive into the conversation. If you're sick and tired of being tired, do me a favor. If you're in the chat room, put a tired in the chat room. If you're tired of being tired, and if you got courage, and you have been tired and you're tired, like you're tired of something. You're tired of an illness. You're tired of a situation, tired of being broke. You're tired of being single. You're tired of being lonely. You're tired of being bothered. If you're just tired of being tired, put the word tired in the chat room. We're going to speak about it. And it doesn't mean you're miserable. It doesn't mean that life is not great or that you're at your end wits. It just means that, sometimes you get tired of being tired. If you're in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, you can definitely relate to being tired, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or just life itself takes its toll on you and make you tired. So we're going to dive into that conversation about life and being tired. And then I also want to tackle the conversation about about not getting started. I want to talk about being tired, and then once we get some information on how to not be tired or how to plow through and research and get the energy going, again, what we need to do with our time, right? So make sure you follow me on all platforms and make sure you're subscribing. If you subscribe, you've gotten the emails telling you where we're going to be. Dr. Marcia is following my show, and her show is going to be an interesting one. Her title is Girl, Get Your Shift Together. SHIFT. Get your shift together. So that's going to be a good topic. So follow Dr. Marcia right after this show. Is going to be a great conversation. I'm going to dive right into it. The conversation. How you doing, brother Dave? Good to see you. And great show earlier as always. If you're tired of being tired, that is not necessarily a bad thing. If you live long enough and you've been through enough and you paid enough bills and you've had enough life situations, you have children, you have health issues, concern, financial issues, relationship issues, religion issues, tired of the people at the church, tired of your neighbors, tired of your boss, tired of being lonely, tired of being tired of taking medication, tired of doing all these things. So I want to dive right into it. Well, why am I speaking of this topic of being tired? The reason I'm speaking about this topic of being tired, life at some point will beat you down, and life at some point will make you tired for various reasons. You have to determine what those reasons are that you get tired. Some of us are tired of taking medication. Some of us are tired of being taken advantage of. Tired of abuse, tired of being undervalued or underheard, tired of having to be the lead or always be the one. You know what I'm saying? So it happens because we're human. We're human. So I want to encourage everyone to just think for a second of how resilient the mind and the body is and how we can reset ourselves mentally. And I think that once you can reset your mind, everything else can reset itself on its own. It's a mindset thing. And I think a lot of times we get tired is because we're constantly doing the same things. And that wears you out a lot, doing the same thing over and over and over again. The fatigueness come from the redundancy. Right. Some of these things we cannot change, but I want to speak about the things that we can change. Right. Human nature is typically it's the protocol of regiment. And we're so used to doing things the same way. And sometimes we're just tired. And I think a lot of times it's because the brain is stuck in a position of the regiment that we put ourselves in. How do you plow through when you're tired? How do you keep going? How do you find your motivation? You actually should get in the habit of self-actualizing. Understand what self-actualizing is basically you feeling that you're responsible for your actions and that you're responsible for your inactions. And you're responsible for moving yourself from point A to point B. It's not going to be your superhero. It's not going to be that paycheck on Friday. It's not going to be anything to get you to where you want to go in life but you. And then when you start holding yourself accountable, you start self-actualizing, which means that I'm responsible for me and what happens to me and what do not happen to me within my own reasoning, right? So the reason I'm speaking about that, because I'm constantly trying to motivate people, including myself. I self-actualize. I self-motivate myself, right? So I don't necessarily need someone to motivate me. I motivate myself. That's something I taught myself a few years ago. So we don't always have to rely on someone to motivate us. We can motivate ourselves. But keep in mind, motivation means absolutely nothing if we don't move. So you can be as motivated as you want to in your life, but if you don't move, then motivation is just a word. If you want to make it a verb, you have to give it motion. You have to make it move. You have to give it action, right? So motivation without movement is kind of like being still, So let's work on changing our mindset and rebooting. And how do you reboot? Okay, how do you reboot? It's just like fasting, in my opinion. Rebooting is like fasting. Sometimes you have to cut out the noise, all the noise around you, the bills, the physical fitness or the physical condition, your health, your relationship, the health of your relationship, even church. Sometimes you need a sabbatical while you're in the storm. Sometimes you need a sabbatical. Sometimes you just need things to stop so you can sit still and enjoy the great things that life has given you And they say the best thing in the world that you can do is be grateful. That's one of the best things, because the fact that we're here, a lot of times we take waking up for granted. A lot of times we take breathing, the most simpler things in life we take for granted. So I want to thank you guys for putting in the chat room that you're tired. Shout out to everybody that's courageous to say that. Thanks for putting that in there, Sheila and Music and Veronica, Evelyn. How you doing, Miss Inez, Miss Freeman, everybody else, Mrs. Zoa, good evening. So sometimes we get tired of being tired, right? So how do you reset? You could do exactly what the brain does. You can do that when you fast, right? Get rid of all the noise. Sometimes you can't change your circumstance, your situation. The bills are going to be in the mail, right? The pills are going to be on the counter, right? The relationship might be salty. The situation may be salty. You may still have the same job. So how do you continue when all these things are happening around you? Sometimes you can just stop and do a little bit of self-care. And that may require just not answering your phone for a little bit. Disconnecting from social media for a little bit. Disconnecting from your children or your loved ones. They'll be okay an hour or two without you. Disconnecting from the television, disconnecting from the noise would allow you to somewhat reset your mind. And then once you reset your mind, try to do things slightly different. And the reason I'm speaking about tired of being tired, I think we're tired, not necessarily, in this real sense, and we may be physically tired, we may be mentally, emotionally, but I'm speaking of tired, meaning you want things to change, you want things to be better. You know that there's so much more that life has to offer you. You know there's more in you that you're not using. You know you have more dreams and more desires, and you have to keep in mind that those things are still tangible. As long as you have air in your body, as long as you're being awakened in the morning, you have an opportunity to go towards something. So once we address being tired and once we address being fatigued, then I want to challenge us to consider that whatever it is that you want and that you're waiting for, the more delayed you are in moving towards that thing, the less time you'll have to enjoy it. I'm going to say that again. The more you delay your dreams, your passion, your visions, the things that you want for your life, the more you delay it, the more you wait, the less time you get to enjoy it. Right? So 50, the age of 50, some people say halfway there. Well, most of us don't live to 100. So as a result of us not living to 100, that means that at 50, you've probably lived most of your life. So what are you waiting on? So I'm going to encourage everybody to just think about that. So if we would change our mindset, if we would change the way that we view things and the way we can stop being tired, is to think about what's causing us to feel this fatigue. To think about the things that mentally makes us exhausted. Is it where you reside? Is it the pattern that you have in your everyday life? Is it constantly doing the same old thing, expecting different results? What is it? And once you identify that thing, then you should fast from it, in my opinion. And what does that mean, fasting from that thing that drains you? It could be a relationship. It could be a job. It could be a situation or circumstance. So the cool thing about that is that you don't have to necessarily get rid of it. I'm just saying sometimes you have to detach yourself from the situation so your mind could reset. And by resetting your mind, if you get back to it with a different perspective and a different approach, minus the noise, you can see clearly. You know, I speak to people and I counsel people all the time. And I notice that one of the things that I hear a lot of are people are in constant pursuit of their purpose. And I told this one young lady that, you know, that you shouldn't feel bad if you don't know what it is you should be doing with your life or what your true purpose is, because most people don't figure out their purpose until later on in life. Because the first thing you do, you know, we've been taught to, you know, you graduate, you get an education, you get a job, you get married, you have children, you just rush this whole thing called life, right? And then as you're rushing this thing called life, you're creating noise, you're creating issues. And when you have kids, then they have their issues. And then life is just on this momentum spin, and it gets noisier. Then we begin to function in a dysfunctional lifestyle. So your new standard is to have the noise and function with the noise. If you have children, you know what I'm speaking of. If you have nieces and nephews, when they're first introduced to your life, you hear everything. Then after a while, you can hear them, but not hear them. And that means that you, congratulations, have learned to function in dysfunction. So I'm saying the way we can reset our mind is understand that noise is not necessarily a good thing if it's negative noise. What kind of noise are you carrying around? And how is it delaying your purpose? How is it delaying your dreams, your desires, and your goals and your visions? Noise will delay your ability to focus. In the camera scene and film industry, they call it white noise. It's a snowy pattern and it's fuzzy. It's called noise. It doesn't allow you to see clear. How much noise do you have in your life? How much fuzz is not allowing you to see clear? What's distracting you? Is someone or something causing noise in your life that's distracting you? Noise knocks you off the track of the pathway of your desires and your goals and your dreams. When you begin to have children, they create noise. They go to school. There's parent-teacher conference. There's conflict. You know, you're just constant noise. You go to the church and there's gossip. And there are people pulling on you left and right, and you get in these relationships, and they're questionable relationships. They're noisy relationships, right? So my thing is to encourage you to stop the noise, because when you get rid of the noise, you begin to get rid of the fuzziness, the snow, the clarity starts to set in. And keep in mind that whatever it is that you know you should be doing, that you desire to do, that you have opportunity to do, that there's low-hanging fruit, as I say, and there are tangibles there. The longer you delay what it is that you desire, the less time that you have to spend enjoying it. So I'm going to say that again. Put a 1 if it's making sense to you. The longer you delay your purpose, the less time you will enjoy it. So I'm encouraging you to realize why you love what you love and why you're doing what you're doing. And if you're not doing what you love, then why aren't you doing what you love? Why aren't you pursuing that thing? You know, I'm working on like an ebook on becoming a magnet. Like, how do you become a magnet to things? And the focus of this book, it'll be a short read, is basically, it speaks about, you know, a lot of times we look towards people for happiness. We look towards things to satisfy us. We look towards objects, materialistic things, money, situations, circumstances, relationships. We depend on these things to make us complete. Well, I will inspire you to master yourself. Be complete without that thing. Be complete without that materialistic thing. Be complete in its entirety, so that whatever that thing is becomes a bonus to you. Whatever that person is a bonus. So I encourage people that are dating, or single people, or people that are in a relationship, don't do the 50-50 thing. Be 100%. Be your best self. Be your best version of yourself. Whatever that is, you know what that look like. You know what you should be doing. You know where your fulfillment is. You know where your happiness is. Do not, from this point moving forward, think that a relationship or financial status or a certain thing that occurs in your life, good, bad, and indifferent, do not think that that completes you. What completes the circle of your life is you and what was embedded in you. Your gifts, your talents, your desires, your goal. It's your health, is your life. Make sure that you are 100%, as close to 100% as you can be. Make sure you strive to be the best version of yourself. Don't try to be anybody else. Why would we try to be someone else when it's so much work just to be ourselves? But the cool thing about it is, once you master yourself, you really enjoy yourself. You have so much fun. I don't care what state you're in. I don't care what state of mind, what place you are. Once you have mastered your purpose, once you have mastered why God put you on this earth, guess what? Life becomes so much valuable to you. And you can be happy alone. You can be happy without a materialistic thing. You can be happy without, a huge home, a beautiful car. Once you have mastered who you are and what makes you move, listen, it's a phenomenal thing when you're walking in your purpose. It's a phenomenal thing to figure out who you are and why you were created. It's an amazing feeling. But I think what happens is, from our youth, we're trained to endure noise. And with the noise, and I call it white noise, it creates fuzz, it creates frostiness, it creates a non-clear picture. And until we remove that noise, we cannot see clear. And just keep in mind, when you begin to see clear, that's not the time to delay. When you start to advance towards what it is that you think you should be doing, what you stopped doing, that you're no longer doing, that you should get back to doing, or what you never started, understand that resistance sets in once you take your first step to remind you it's the enemy telling you not to do it. Ignore it and do it anyway. Ignore it and do it anyway. So thank you guys for putting the ones in the chat room. I'm going to read a couple of conversations here. How you doing, Tiffany? Sheila said, yesterday I'm emotionally and mentally exhausted. You know what? Let's talk about that. Being emotionally and mentally exhausted is something that we deal with more frequently than we're willing to address. Mental exhaustion is a real thing. Emotional exhaustion is a real thing. Physical exhaustion is a real thing. And they all derive from something grassroots that's embedded in your life. And typically, most often, we understand where that exhaustion comes from. The problem is sometimes is we do not address the root of the exhaustion. Sometimes, if you can organize your thoughts, then you can organize your life And that will leave either little to no time for havoc. You won't be available for it. It can't find you. And if it's looking for you, you're not available for it. So if you're mastering you and not others, because how can you literally be a support system for someone else? How can you be a support system for someone else if you can't support yourself emotionally, physically, psychologically? If you're not whole, can you make someone else whole? Can a broken person fix a broken person? No. I don't believe the theory that two halves make a whole as it relates to life. I think you should be whole. You should be whole. And then whatever you connect with and whoever you connect with, if they're pouring into you positively, then that becomes a bonus. You don't need someone to complete you. Your cycle could be complete alone. Learn how to be happy with you. Learn how to be one with you. Find a way to block the noise. A lot of people, they intentionally incur noise because it allows them not to hear themselves. Sometimes we create noise and we love to be around noise because when it quiets itself, it reminds us of who we are. Quietness exposes our iniquities. Quietness exposes our true values. Quietness tells us what we should not be doing, and it gives us clarity on the direction that we should go. That's what blocking the noise does for you. And then I'm going to encourage you with this other thing. Get into the mindset of doing audits. Do self audits as frequently as you can. Do it monthly, quarterly, daily. Do audits. And basically, what's a self audit? It's you evaluating your performance for you. I said to myself I was going to work out. I said I was going to exercise. I said I was going to do better. I said I was going to wake up more. I said I was going to stop letting people take advantage of me. I said that I was going to stop getting in these kind of relationships. I said I was going to stop lending people money that's not going to return it. I said these things. So a self-audit allows you to evaluate, are you doing what you promised yourself? Are you keeping it real with yourself? Are you being honest with yourself? So as you're doing frequent audits, when New Year's come around, you don't have to lie to yourself with New Year's resolutions on what you're going to do the following year, because you're constantly doing it throughout the year. So I don't do New Year's resolutions. I do self audits throughout the year. Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I holding myself accountable? See, this is something I do myself, so it makes me whole. Am I happy, or am I depending on someone to make me happy outside of me? Am I depending on a thing? Am I depending on resources to make me happy? See, if you're depending on something, when it's not there, it crushes you. When you depend on someone and they're not there and they let you down, it crushes you. But the only person to be there for you 100% of the times is you. You cannot disappear from you. So show up for you. And the best way to show up for you is to block the noise. And before you can render aid to anyone else, understand what's clear to you. When you're on a cruise ship, before you can enjoy the ship, before the captain sails, they make everyone go out to the deck and they show you the life vests and they show you the boats, the rescue boats, and how to get into them. But they train you on how to take care of yourself first, because you can't help anyone until you help yourself first. So my suggestion to you is to keep in mind that Noise delays your purpose. I'm going to say that again. Noise delays your purpose. And the more you delay your purpose, the less time you'll have to enjoy it. So get into the habit of getting rid of the noise, getting to your purpose, and enjoying the reason you were created. And I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed. It's really, really simple. You can get quiet in noisy places. Your home could be chaotic, but you can get quiet inside. You can be still inside. And then understand to repair anything. The best way to do it is from the roots. So if the root of the noise, it's someone, you may have to purge that person. If it's something, you may have to get rid of that thing, or find a way to triage your life. And when you triage your life and you do an audit, you realize the things you don't need. So keep moving forward. Keep pressing forward. So I'm encouraging you to understand that if you're tired of being tired, in order to get to the next level, you've got to deal with your fatigue. You've got to deal with your fatigue. There's no greatness to be celebrated in exhaustion. It's hard to celebrate a victory when you're completely exhausted. You ever see track and field where a guy runs a marathon or a woman wins something and they put it all on the track and they won and they can't even smile because they're so exhausted? So I'm saying to you, keep in mind that who's ever taking out of you, whatever's being taken out of you, understand that you have to self-actualize to make sure that you're replenished, to make sure that you have everything you need. So please don't try to save me if you can't save yourself. Don't try to be a resource to me if you cannot be resourceful for yourself. And it goes to you and your family and everybody else. Right? So, hey, do me a favor. Put some hearts in the chat room if this is hitting home for you. And we got a few minutes. I could take a couple of questions. But I really wanted to speak about that because I'm always motivating. I'm always trying to do self-empowerment. But I asked myself today, how do I empower people if they're exhausted? How do I motivate folks, including myself, if I'm fatigued? So I got to get down to the grassroots of everything so that I'm whole, so that you're whole, so that we can get to the next level. But it's hard to get you past that threshold if you're too exhausted to get across this wall, if you're too fatigued to get to the next level. So I'm saying that we treat it at the root, what's causing us to be exhausted. And exhaustion, I'm speaking of physiological, mental, emotional, psychological, physical. Take sabbaticals for yourself, get self-care and self-actualize, and look that word up. Self-actualize. You can do it for yourself. I'm not saying you don't need people. I'm saying if you're whole and you take care of you and you be the best version of what you can be with who you are and what God gave you, then everything else becomes a bonus. Celebrate your bonus, but make sure you earn it. Make sure you block the noise. All right. So, hey, how you doing, Tiffany? Hey, Dr. Marcia, y'all stand by because the next show is going to be powerful. It is a great topic. Girl, get your shift together. SHIFT. I know what you meant, doctor. So shout out to everybody that's here. How you doing, Marie? with your beautiful self. And who else we got here? Also, Arlene, it's great to see you back here. And make sure you guys are sharing this link. We're doing some wonderful things here. And we're hoping that we're making a difference with these conversations. These are great conversations. I love listening to these type of conversations, and I love being here to speak about some of these things. So just to recap, while I'm waiting on these questions and these hearts to come in, if you're tired of being tired, get rid of the noise. Noise blocks clarity. Noise in the sense of another human being, something or someone that you're discontent with, something that's disturbing your peace, whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, whether it's your church folks, your boss. It can be an array of things that causes the noise. But once you get rid of the noise, you can see very clear. So then it becomes your responsibility with that clarity to figure out how to self-actualize. And self-actualizing meaning that you pouring into yourself before you can pour into anyone else. That you're making sure you're well mentally, physically, and emotionally before you allow anybody into your circle of life. Because those who take from you, those who drain you, often don't rescue you when you're drained. When you're on your back, or when you're broke, or when you really need someone, those people that have drained you typically don't show up for you. So that's why you have to make sure that you're whole before someone pulls from you. So appreciate the love that's coming in. Hey, listen, I don't care how old you are, how young you are. This message is valuable to anyone. Get into the habit of self-actualizing. That means that we're not depending on people. We're not depending on our children. We're not depending on our spouses. We're not depending on someone or something or the mailbox or a paycheck to be whole. We're moving forward in life understanding that we are responsible for us. And even though there are things that occur to us, rather it's abuse, rather it's hurt, guilt, shame, pain, loss, financial destitute, whatever it is that someone may even have done to you, if you self-actualize, hold yourself accountable for what you do now. Moving forward, after hearing this conversation, the question should be, how is it that I self-actualize? How do I give myself the momentum? Understanding that I don't have as much time as I did. And also understanding that the more I delay my purpose, the less I get to enjoy it. So where you should be and you're not, and whatever you're doing that you're not doing, keep in mind that you're delaying the value, the fun, the happiness. You're delaying it. Stop delaying if you are. I may not be speaking to everyone, but I'm speaking to quite a bit of you. And I just want to kind of put that on your heart to think about, because that's been on my heart. It's like, can you motivate someone that's exhausted? Can you? I don't know. So I would say no. I would say no. But the truth of the matter is, after this conversation, I'm going to say yes. Once you get rid of the noise, once you understand that you're responsible for you and your happiness, and it's not your mate, your spouse, your children, it's not the mailbox, it's not the mailman, it's not the government, it's not your paycheck, it's not your doctor. You are responsible for feeling who you are and what your destiny is. And you can do that by getting your act together. And you get yourself together. And a lot of times, there's a lot of coaches that are on this platform. and you hear from a lot of coaches. But one of the things that coaches do more than not is help people organize. It's rare that they give you solutions. Coaches typically give you your options. They listen to you, and then they help you understand your dysfunction, or they help you understand your pain points, and they relay them back to you in an organized fashion, allowing you to discern what it is that you're lacking. So coaches, great coaches, are basically a great mirror of you, and they help you organize your chaos. And it doesn't mean that they're smarter, they're better, they're wiser. It's just that they have a better perspective based on the picture you paint for them. So the truth of the matter is, I think everyone needs a mentor or a coach or a therapist or something, because at some point you've been through something that you didn't get help with, and you may still be struggling with that. So you should probably speak to someone. And if you're single, make sure you whole before you get into your next relationship. It's not that person's responsibility to fix you. If you came broken, and you will stay broken, you can fix you. You should be whole in any circumstance. And then whatever you take, you build on that. So stop looking at these men to make you whole, because they're not certified or qualified to counsel you. Men are meant to be your men. Women, you can't fix a man. I don't care how broken he is. He has to want to fix himself. So if he's giving you 100% and you're giving each other 100%, then you can build on what you have. But a lot of us are not therapists. A lot of us are not trained professions to deal with mental issues from childhood trauma that's left undealt with. And then we look to others to understand us or build around our trauma. Let's deal with our trauma. Let's fix it. Let's face it. Trauma that we carry is noisy. It's noisy. It talks to us. It's fuzzy. And the way to get around some of the trauma is to get rid of some of the noise. And when the noise disappears, the clarity shows up. And once the clarity shows up, if you self-actualize, you can see yourself to the next chapter. Keep climbing the ladder. You have what it takes. If you can't physically climb the ladder, you can mentally and emotionally climb it. It's your state of being. You're responsible for you. What are you going to do? How are you going to block the noise? How are you going to self-actualize? Get a coach. Get a mentor. Be responsible for yourself. Right? So with that being said, I just want to thank everybody. And I don't want to miss anyone. Veronica, I want to read these statements. It's great. Before I hop off, Dr. Marcia, y'all stand by. Get yourself together before you can help someone else. That is absolutely true music. Veronica said, one thing I've learned out of these 61 years on this earth is you can't love nobody if you can't love yourself. So I love and live my life to its fullest. This is true. I know. This is great advice. If you can't love yourself, you cannot love. It is impossible to love anyone else. It is impossible to be in love if you don't love yourself. Thanks, Dr. Marcia. Great segue, Rich. Live. Yeah, girl, get your SHIFT together. Get your stuff together. And Sheila G, I appreciate you always leaving some great comments. Learn to say no. Yeah. Learn to say no. You know, she have trouble saying no. A lot of us with good hearts have problems saying no. What had to break me from being afraid to say no. I wasn't afraid to say no. I just was a people pleaser, and I didn't mind saying no. I just started saying to myself, they had no problem telling me no. So I'm going to match their energy. How about that? How about that? Match their energy. So it's been a great show. Y'all stand by. We're gonna get ready for Dr. Marcia, and it's going to be an amazing conversation. So you guys stand by. This has been a Rich Live production. Thank you guys for tuning in to MSC Network. Make sure you're supporting. Make sure you're donating. Make sure you're sharing. If nothing else, make sure that you are subscribing so you can receive the emails and know what we're doing next. Okay? Until the next time, know that I love you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. See ya!